Hello, hello, sweet honeybees. I have honestly tried to record this video a couple of different times now, but every single time that I have recorded it, I have started to have like this little internal panic attack, started to overthink it, and I ended up stopping the video, deleting the video. But I decided to take a break since I was getting overwhelmed, and I went into town to get a spicy potato taco from Taco Bell. And the man that handed me my bag of food quite literally had a tattoo on his forearm that said, "Let your faith be stronger than your fear." So I just want to talk about it. My whole Electric Honeypot project is about how your story matters. I've literally been writing my handle on stickers to give out over the weekend on top of my actual like logo stickers. And I've literally been writing "Your Story Matters" on them. And here I am, afraid to tell my story because of the way my ex guilted me and gaslit me every single time I did try to talk about the way that he negatively impacted me and how he made me feel. He had me questioning my own reality, my own perception. And I felt like I didn't have a voice. It was like reliving my childhood trauma all over again, which is kind of why I'm making this video. It's not just for myself, but this is for anybody else who may still be living in the delusion that a trauma bond is love. It's not. Love bombing and gaslighting is not love. I have been in complete emotional chaos pretty much ever since I met the man that I was dating. And it just got worse after we broke up because I just kept yo-yoing back and forth between blaming myself and having clarity about the situation. I came to feel like the fact that I asked for communication and the fact that I feel so deeply was a problem, when in reality, that's what makes me human. There is nothing wrong with wanting communication, and there is nothing wrong with feeling things deeply. Feeling your feelings is healthy because that's the only way you release them, or else you repress them and it comes out in unhealthy ways that ends up hurting yourself and hurting others. And that's exactly what happened within my relationship. I hurt myself by repressing how I felt while in this relationship to make my partner more comfortable. And my partner represses how he feels about my ex-partner, repressed how he felt about things that he experienced in his childhood trauma, and kept making up excuses, denying his feelings. And it led to him hurting me. He took out his own pain onto me. I have been doing a lot of reflecting, and I have been realizing that he projected a lot of the ways that he thought and felt onto me. And this is exactly how, good people get taken advantage of and get hurt as well. Because people that like to manipulate and abuse, they gaslight and project how they think and feel about certain situations onto their victim. And then the victim usually falls prey for it because they project their best qualities onto the abuser or the manipulator. And that's exactly what I did. I really saw a lot of myself within my ex-partner. We have very similar childhood trauma. And it's just really interesting the way that people respond to similar traumas in different ways. In the past, I have been a person that hurts other people as a result of my trauma. But as I have began healing, I have had a tendency to be the kind of person that hurts myself because of my trauma. I have this tendency to people please, and I have a tendency to try to play the hero. When I notice pain in someone else that I can relate to, I have this sense of feeling like maybe I can love them into healing, when that's just not how it works. People have to be ready and willing to heal themselves. They have to be able to look at those uglier aspects of themselves and embrace it, or else healing's never going to happen. My ex is like that. He is not ready to fully be accountable. He recognizes that he has trauma, but he has not reached the point where he is ready to take accountability for how his trauma negatively impacts other people in his life. You know, every time I tried to talk about how his behaviors that stem from trauma hurt me, he would become passive aggressive with me, telling me that he's a good boyfriend and he's not going to allow me to tell him that he's not, sending me smiley faces while he's saying that. Which, you know, you're not dating yourself, you're dating another person. And if you actually love that other person, you should care about how your behavior affects them. He came back into my life after no contact just to tell me how toxic I am for him and how much loving me hurts him. Yet he never took into consideration how his behaviors were negatively impacting my mental health. You know, him purposely ignoring me, him making jokes about me whenever I tell him I'm not feeling well, saying, "It's not mine," and then singing songs about single motherhood to me, constantly insinuating that I'm talking to other men and getting jealous, but refusing to admit that he gets jealous. Once he came back into my life and he was adamant he didn't want me, that's when he decides to tell me that he's jealous. So that is possession. He wants to tell me that he's jealous, but he doesn't want me. Okay, makes a lot of sense, right? So I'm not allowed to have male friends that I care about that are strictly platonic because you're jealous, even though you don't want me. It's just these little mind games like this that he played with me constantly that he doesn't realize really messed up my mental health. I quite literally gave up on my dreams and my goals while dating him because he would constantly tell me that he's not supporting what I'm doing because he knows how people are and people don't care. And he was just projecting his own uncaring attitude onto the world. And I started to have a very bleak perception of the world as a result too. He even accused me of faking my dog being extremely sick to get his attention, which is so messed up. I love my dog. I would never lie about my dog being sick just to get attention from someone. My dog was literally having bloody diarrhea down the hallway that was dark. It was black. I rushed my dog to the emergency vet because another friend of mine was kind enough to help pay for it. My ex ignored me, though. He opened my text message and left me on read because he assumed I was lying about my dog being sick to get his attention. Sorry, you were important to me, but you're not important enough to where I'm going to pretend like my dog is sick. But that's something that he would probably do. He also insinuated that I was stalking him because I bought him flowers for Valentine's Day and I sent it to his work because he never gave me his home address. He told me where he worked, but he's like, "How'd you get my work address? How'd you know where I work? You told me numerous times where you work. You even told me at one point that if I moved to Atlanta, you could get me a job there." It's just, it's just so frustrating because he quite literally stalked people. I mentioned this in a TikTok after I went no contact with him, that he stalked people, and I felt like he was stalking my social media. And he was stalking my social media, but when he came back into my life, he told me that I was talking bad about him by literally talking about what he was doing. I found myself in this relationship because he mirrored every single thing that I said that I wanted. From the very beginning, I was very communicative. I told him exactly what I wanted in a relationship, what my life goals were. And he told me that he's looking for all of that too, that that's also what he wants for his life. Mirroring is something that manipulators are very good at doing. Now, I can't diagnose my ex with anything, but this is definitely something that happens within like the cluster B personality type. So you have like antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and BPD. And I recognize this because I also display symptoms of BPD, which it could be complex PTSD. I've actually never received a diagnosis. I just know that I really relate with BPD. Whenever I find myself in unhealthy relationships, that's when it really triggers my symptoms. And that's kind of what happened within this relationship. I became emotionally unstable again while in this relationship because I was being emotionally neglected. I recognized that I had an anxious attachment style while dating him, but anxiety is a normal feeling when you are in a relationship where you are being emotionally neglected and your boundaries and your needs are not being respected or met. Having an emotional response to being mistreated is a normal response. But he made me out to be the problem for having an emotional response. And I've just been thinking about the things he told me about his ex-girlfriends. Like, he blamed his ex-girlfriend for his behaviors because she yelled at me a lot. And, you know, I wonder why. You know, I'll admit I raised my voice at him a couple of times, but it was when we were like arguing and I was not being heard. I reached a point where I let him take over my energy and I became angry enough to the point where I raised my voice when I should have just backed away from the conversation. And I wonder if that happened with his ex. Same with the whole "it's not mine" and singing the song about single motherhood. I told him that I was feeling nauseous, and that was the response I got instead of care and consideration. And his ex, he told me that his ex told his brother that she had to get an abortion, that he forced her to get an abortion. He said that he saw text messages, but he would never show me the text messages. He just showed me a text of her saying that she never said that, but I will say, and then he cut off the rest of the message saying, I don't need to read that, that it's just her being mean to him. Just twisting the narrative. I also had some friends that we shared cut me off after we broke up. Friends that were literally calling me soul sister, and then all of a sudden they're ignoring me. They blocked me on social media. And I brought this up to him. I was like, I'm sad. I don't know what I did. And he goes, well, I did tell them that we broke up, but I didn't say anything bad about you. I didn't even insinuate that he said anything bad about me. I just said that I was sad and didn't know what happened. But he was always accusing me of talking bad about him to other people before I even went no contact, when I was constantly blaming myself. So it just makes me wonder, did he triangulate? Did he turn her against me? Because when he came back into my life after going no contact, he told me that she blocked me because I had shared something that offended her on Facebook. But I went through my Facebook and it was literally all like motivational and positive stuff around the time when she stopped talking to me. I told him that I wouldn't have even called you a narcissist had before going no contact, had I known. Like, he literally had me, he was literally turning me against her. And then he told me, don't tell her I told you any of this because I don't want drama. Is he lying to me? I feel like he is, personally. I feel like he triangulates and turns people against each other because he has to protect that ego. He has to always look like the bad guy. And anybody that threatens exposing his ego is the problem. They're the bad guy. Going back to how I was gaslit and guilt tripped for talking about what he put me through. All of these mind games really fucked with my life for the last half year, over half a year. He even told me when he was trying to convince me that he's not a narcissist, I fell for it. I was like, I don't think you're a narcissist. But when he was like explaining how he's not a narcissist, he even described himself as conceited. And then he's like, oh, wait, that's not right. That doesn't make sense. I think that's an admission because he's most definitely vain. He's obsessed with appearances. One time when I was really depressed, he said he needed to take a shower. And I said, I really need to start doing that more. And he immediately responded, ew. I'm just like, well, I've been depressed. I struggle to take care of myself when I'm depressed. It makes me feel bad enough as it is, but thank you for making me feel worse. He would also constantly try to get me to call him racial slurs, which made me extremely uncomfortable. I am not that kind of person. I don't call people racial slurs. I don't even like insulting people when they upset me. And he would just tell me that it's a joke. His friends make fun of him and they make jokes like that. It's all just a joke. He told me that he felt like he can't be himself around me. And honestly, in my opinion, if being yourself means insulting people and making fun of people and making cruel jokes, maybe you should reevaluate the person that you think you are and the person that you want to be. It's been extremely frustrating. It's been angering and sad just realizing all of the projection that I was carrying that wasn't mine to carry. All of the blaming and shaming that I have done to myself when I tried my best. I tried my best to communicate, but you can't communicate with someone that refuses to hear you. It's been challenging accepting the fact that he never really loved me. I was literally just this physical connection to him because after we broke up, he told me that he didn't want me to come visit him in person, even though he said we do better in person. Even though he said we communicate better in person, because if he were to see me in person and we could touch each other again, he knows that his love for me would come back. Okay, that sounds like lust. That doesn't sound like love, because I want an emotional and a soul connection, not just this physical connection. And he didn't want to have that with me. He even told me after going no contact that he has to think about the future. He can't date me because of a situation I'm in that he knew about when he dated me to begin with. Okay, so you weren't thinking about the future when you got with me? I was just a waste of time for you? Why'd you get with me to begin with when I was honest from the very beginning? Here I was dreaming of a future of traveling and having fun and working on creative projects with this person who just saw me as a source of energy to drain. And then when he drained all of my energy and I became a completely different person from who I am, he had no use for me anymore. So he threw me away while telling me I betrayed him for trying to stand up for myself. I am worth more than that. And if you are in a relationship like this, you are worth so much more than that. You are worth a love that makes you feel safe and secure. You are worth a love that calms your nervous system and validates you. There is nothing wrong with wanting validation from someone that tells you that they love you. because humans are social creatures by nature. We crave validation and love and care from each other. You should never have to question whether or not the people that are around you love you. And if you do question that, they probably shouldn't be around you. Ask yourself, is this relationship actually love, or is it a project? Am I loving and being loved in return, or am I having to win someone's love? Someone that puts you down does not love you. Someone that makes fun of you does not love you. Someone that accuses you of things without any evidence does not love you. Someone that does not trust you does not love you. Someone that refuses to communicate or hear you does not love you. Someone that does not care about your feelings or your boundaries does not love you. It's a trauma bond. It's not love. That's not what love is. I will say one thing. Everything happens for a reason, because my ex has made me so much wiser and so much stronger, because now I recognize what a trauma bond is in a relationship. Now I'm going to make people earn my trust rather than just giving it right away just because I recognize parts of myself within them. We're all mirrors of each other. And I am not going to be with another person that reflects back to me my childhood trauma. I am trying to grow and evolve. I am not trying to stay in those same toxic patterns of pain and closing off my heart. I am so tired of emotional neglect and emotional manipulation, and I am choosing myself. And if you're in a relationship like this, you should also choose yourself, because you are worth more than that. I'll leave it there. I know there's stuff that I missed, but that's the gist of it. I just have to talk about it because he has made me feel really isolated and alone. And he's tried to tell me that it's not okay to talk about what he did to me. He can talk about me all he wants. My ego is not so fragile that I have to hide mistakes that I make or pain that I cause. I'll own up. I'll hold myself accountable. I just wanted to share my side of the story because there's always two sides, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. There's a female cardinal in the trees. I love it. And I am just so tired of feeling like I don't have a voice when I do. Thank you so much for listening. If you are still here, I know this is a long video. I'm really grateful for you, and I love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay curious.